Hey guys, it's Britt. I'm here with my friend Carrie from the Foundations podcast.
Yes, and I am super excited that we are. First of all, you were a guest on my podcast for the last
years back and
couple
up, yeah.
years. Yep, a few different times. And we worked so well together that we're really excited to transition the Foundations podcast to the Complete Wellness podcast.
We're two friends talk about how messy life is with zero filters.
Exactly. So stick around. We have lots of exciting topics to discuss.
Yes.
Hey everyone. Welcome to today's episode, Running on Coffee and Chaos. 15 motivation hacks to keep you on track. I'm Carrie. So this week, Britt's schedule is pretty crazy. So today, it's just going to be me. But I do want to follow up on our episode from last week, where Britt and I talked about breaking down the stigma and judgment that surrounds weight loss, shame, and medication. And let me tell you, we received a ton of feedback. We're going to share some of your feedback in the next episode when Britt's able to rejoin me. Believe me, your messages, stories, concerns, they all moved us, and we appreciate so much that so many of you reached out. Even though Britt and I sat on opposite sides of the fence when it comes down to the decision to take weight loss medication, we were in complete agreement that it's a personal choice for each and every one of us. And we both spoke out against the judgment, shame, and stigma that often comes along with it. Not only were we in complete agreement about that, but we also don't believe that anyone, whether they're in the fitness space or not, owes anyone else an explanation or disclosure about any medications that they take. That's a personal choice, and each of us has the right to our own privacy and our own comfort level with sharing. However, my mission as a health coach is to support people in creating lasting change in their lives through the power of small, sustainable habits. Whether it's weight loss, managing blood pressure, improving your blood sugar, changing your diet, or supporting recovery from chronic pain, my role as a health coach is to help people build a foundation for health that's rooted in behavior change, not necessarily reliant on medication. This is my mission, my passion, and my purpose. It's truly at the heart of my work and of my life. So the more I thought about it after we recorded last week, the more it makes sense to me that I'm hesitant to take medication. Because I'm hesitant to take medication for any health condition, no matter which one we're talking about. For me, it's not about judgment, but instead it's about alignment. It's about being true to what I believe in and have spent the last 15 years studying. It's about practicing what I preach and teach, truly walking the walk. So at the end of the day, when I made my pros and cons list, I decided that for me, the benefits don't outweigh the risks that are associated with weight loss medication. Not at this point anyway. I do believe that weight loss medication can be a helpful tool, but it's not the solution. And I also believe that even if you make the decision to use weight loss medication, then it's extremely important to also look at your daily habits. More than anything, I want to reinforce the importance of doing the work, of slowing down, paying attention, and making the kinds of changes that truly last. In my line of work, I focus on things like developing nutrition habits that support your long-term health, establishing consistent movement routines, prioritizing sleep, stress management, and self-care, and tracking your progress beyond the scale. Energy, mood, blood pressure, and blood sugar all matter. I also try to help my clients address mindset. Weight loss journeys often stir up some big emotions. Fear of regain, shame about using medication, confusion about doing it right. My job is to help people process those feelings and build some self-compassion while they create a healthy relationship with food and their body. And ultimately, my goal is to help my clients understand that medication is just one tool among many. Sustainable health truly comes from developing the confidence, awareness, and consistency needed to maintain well-being long after the prescription ends. So I talked about it a little bit in the last podcast with Britt, but when I look at my upcoming 8 weeks, I'm going to remind myself and anyone listening that true wellness lives in the gap between where we are and where we want to be. That's the space where the work really happens. That's where the changes take root. And that's where I, as a coach and as a human, continue to show up. Imperfectly, but wholeheartedly. And let's be honest, staying motivated is hard. Life is full of chaos, distractions, and let's face it, days when staying under a blanket feels like the best option. So that brings me to what I want to share with you today. A few weeks ago, I sent out a poll asking my readers and our listeners about the most difficult obstacle you face when you try to implement a new fitness routine. And according to 54% of you, low motivation was your most challenging hurdle in maintaining a health and fitness routine. I absolutely agree with that personally. So after I got your feedback, I dug into all my files and I attempted to gather my best advice, drawing from not only my own experience, but also the clients that I've worked with over the years. I've been coaching people for about 13 years now. I've done personal training, group fitness classes, nutrition counseling, mental well-being work, and everything in between. And I've seen firsthand how motivation can make or break your progress. I've coached individuals, couples, and entire groups from all walks of life and across all kinds of goals. And as a board-certified health coach with a whole person, holistic approach, I can confidently say this. It's not just about a workout plan. It's not about the perfect diet. It's about finding a sustainable, realistic routine that works for you and tapping into the motivation that will make it stick. And that looks different for every single one of us. So I've kind of gathered together 15 strategies that I have seen work over and over again to help you maintain your motivation. Whether you're feeling stuck, burnout, or just in need of a little push, hopefully there's something in here that will benefit you. So I'm going to go through my 15 motivation hacks. I'm going to give you a little bit of a description, and then I'm probably going to add a little bit about my experience as well as my client's experience, hoping that maybe you'll be able to draw off some of it before it's over with. Number 1 on my list is to understand your why. I can't even describe how important I feel like this step is. Motivation starts with purpose, and it's really worth it to take the time to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? And go deeper than the surface level answers. The more emotionally connected you are to your goals, the easier it is to stay committed when things get tough. I use the Foundations program that I created when I go through my weekly routines. And if you decide to use the Foundations book, there's an exercise at the beginning that goes through that to actually stop and think about your why. What it means to you to be trying to make these changes in your life. There's also another one that relates very closely to it that is actually writing down what you want your life to look like creating a vision for what you want to accomplish. And what it's really about manifesting your goals. And it's about creating a picture in your mind of what you want your life and your health to look like in every aspect of your life. The more you can take the time to think through it like this before you begin a new routine, the more emotionally connected that you're going to be to those tasks that you're trying to check off a list every day. And when things get tough, then you can go back and look at that and remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing and what it is that you want. How can you accomplish goals if you don't even really truly know what they are? So that's definitely where I suggest starting. delve deep into it and really take the time to think through it. Even if it means that you start your new routine a little bit later, it's definitely worth it. So once you kind of go through your why, go through your vision statement of what you really want your life to look like, the next step is to set SMART goals and then break them down. So SMART goals stand for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. These are all the elements of the goals that you want to be setting. You want to make sure that you can measure your progress. You want to make sure that you're setting goals that are actually achievable for you. I always say that the rule of thumb is that if you are completing your goals every single day, checking them off a list without too much additional effort, then you probably haven't set them quite high enough to be making the kind of progress that you want to be making. But also, on the other hand, if you set a goal and you are only meeting it once or twice a week, then you might have set your expectations a little bit too high for yourself, and you might have to break that down to a smaller step to begin with. If you set goals that are too big and too hard to accomplish, then you're going to really quickly feel overwhelmed. Make sure that they're manageable, and doing this will help you build confidence along the way. One of my favorite words associated with health coaching is self-efficacy, and that means the belief that you will accomplish your goals, that you believe in yourself. And setting small attainable goals where you can slowly build and slowly make progress helps you build that confidence and the self-efficacy. And it prevents you from setting yourself up for failure. That brings me to the third hack on my list. Create a supportive environment. Your space matters. If you clear the clutter, remove the distractions, and really create an environment that you love to be in, it will help you focus and it'll help you thrive. I know that it always makes me feel better to make sure that my environment around me is organized and well put together and set up for what I want to do. It makes everything else seem a little bit less overwhelming. The fourth hack is take care of the basics. Now, I have to tell you that that is why the program that I use and that I created is called Foundations. It's because it's based on a foundation of healthy habits, which means your basic needs: sleep, water, movement, nutrition. I can't even express how strongly I feel a strong foundation is. Our lives get really busy, and it seems like it's those basic needs that often get pushed to the side. But the reality is that your brain and your body need fuel to stay energized and motivated. Don't underestimate how important those basic needs are. Before going into my last 8-week program for 2025, I took a whole week to focus just on those basic needs. I kind of set aside all of the bigger goals that I wanted to accomplish, and I focused just on getting to bed at a certain time, consuming enough water, implementing some time for mindfulness and meditation every day to improve my focus. Even washing my face at night, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't dragging myself to bed super late without doing my bedtime routine. I wanted to make sure that when I got into bed, I was truly ready for sleep. I know all those things sound really basic, but the truth is, those things are so important and they're just often overlooked. We get busy and we push them to the side. The fifth one on my list is to practice self-care and to celebrate small wins. Sometimes we just keep pushing. We push through without even taking a break. But those breaks are so important. And it kind of goes back to your basic needs, I believe. Like sleep is your rest. But I also believe that taking breaks and rest when you need to is truly important too, physically as well as mentally. If you're talking about your workout routine, the rest is just as important as the effort. Your body grows and becomes stronger during those periods of rest. You push your body during the periods of exertion, and then it's during those times of rest when your body grows and becomes stronger and your endurance improves. So I believe that physically Your rest is very important, but it's also important to rest mentally and give yourself a break sometimes, or else that's when burnout happens. That's when it becomes too overwhelming and too exhausting, and you end up quitting. So, when I first started doing this, I made myself rest at least 2 days a week with all of my physical exercise for sure. What I found was when I allowed myself that time to rest, then rather than becoming overwhelmed and tired because I was going through too much effort every day, then I started to look forward to the workouts a little bit more. I was more ready for them. I was more prepared for them. And I actually truly started to look forward to them. And it's also really important to celebrate your progress, even if those little gains feel small. This will reinforce your effort and it'll help you build some positive momentum. Sometimes it seems like progress is slow, but every little bit of progress that you make will continue to build. It all adds up. And before you know it, what started as little progress will be what results in big accomplishments for you. All right, number 6, surround yourself with positivity. It's just like our parents said when we were little. You are who you choose to surround yourself with. But it's really the truth. You are deeply affected by who and what is around you. I'm a big believer in energy, and you feel other people's energy. So choose to surround yourself with people who support your growth. Mentors, friends, coworkers, or even an online community that shares your goals. It's one of the reasons that I love group fitness classes, because you automatically have a group of people around you that are there for the same reason that you're there. They want to accomplish similar things, and it's going to be a positive, supportive environment. And I've worked with a lot of clients that maybe don't have the most supportive environment at home. And in those instances, I would say that it's so important to communicate with your family, with the people that you're surrounded by every day. Let them know how important it is to you. So even if they don't share your goals, or they're not going to classes with you, they're not working out with you, they're not meditating with you, or whatever it is that you have on your goal list, if their goals aren't the same as yours, that's okay. But it is important to make sure that there's open communication so that they will respect your goals and understand why you want to accomplish them. So the 7th hack on my list, I always knew this, but working with Britt has definitely helped me realize this even more. Find an accountability partner. Whatever that means to you. It can be a coach, someone like me, or it can be just a friend that you go to workout classes with, or maybe it's just the two of you going for a walk in the morning. And I know that I'm talking a lot about fitness classes and physical activity, but this goes for everything that you do. Find somebody that will keep you honest and keep you motivated. I know that Britt and I have worked together through the Foundations program. So a lot of times we would start the program together, set our goals together, and then every week we met to go over those goals, talk about our progress, talk about any challenges that we encountered. If one of us was having a bad day, needed a little bit of support, then you can reach out to that person and they can help you when your motivation is lacking. And there are a lot of weeks when I was going through that with Britt that I didn't feel like doing my goals and keeping track of everything and tracking my progress. But I knew that I had a meeting scheduled with her and that she was going to have her information ready. And so that motivated me, pushed me a little bit at the times that I needed it to make sure that mine was ready too. And even in the times when I didn't feel very motivated, just getting that done helped me to move forward. I didn't want to disappoint her. I didn't want to not show up for her. Sometimes easier to not show up for ourselves than it is to not show up for our friends. So having an accountability partner for me, the first time I did Foundations with a partner, with Brittany, was a game changer for me. So definitely a quick shout out to Britt on this one. This tip is definitely inspired by you. Number 8 on my list, I kind of touched on earlier, But it's so important to celebrate your progress. Acknowledge how far you've come. As we go through changes and we start to make progress, we start to get used to the new habits that we develop, and we forget how far we've come. And like I said before, this helps you build confidence, or my favorite word, self-efficacy. That's the belief that you can do this, and that confidence will help build consistency for you. So definitely, yes, you should do a little dance when you check something off your list. All right, the 9th tip for motivation is stack your habits. So when you're trying to build a new habit that seems especially hard to implement into your life, one of the things that you can do is attach that new habit to an old habit that's already well established. So I know I talked earlier about how much I don't like to take medication, but last year my doctor was a little bit concerned about my cholesterol, so he wanted me to go on a low-dose cholesterol pill. Believe me, I tried to fight him off and tell him that I wanted to work on it through diet and exercise, and we finally agreed, or I finally agreed, I guess, that I should go on it in the meantime. And he said, if my numbers continue to improve, then we can talk about coming back off it. So I finally relented and I gave in. But for some reason, that cholesterol pill was so hard for me to implement into my daily routine. And I would forget it so many days out of the week. So what I finally did was, first of all, I added it onto my goal list for my daily goals, because that was a habit that I knew I really needed to add into my daily routine. And I was struggling with it. So I added it to my list of daily goals. And then I put my cholesterol pill right next to my toothbrush, so that I started to get into the habit of every time I brush my teeth in the morning to get ready for the day, then I grabbed that cholesterol pill. And that's how I finally got it implemented into my daily routine, because for probably about a good month, I was terrible about it. But if you take a new habit and you attach it to an old habit that's already well established, and you link those habits together, then your first habit that's well established will remind you of that second habit. And now I don't have to put that on my goal list at all, because it's something that I do every single day without even thinking. It's just built into my routine. All right, number 10, be kind to yourself. This is a tough one. I always ask the people that I work with, what would you say to your friends? Would you talk to them in the same way that you're talking to yourself? And that really hits home for a lot of people, because we are just so hard on ourselves. We expect so much of ourselves. And if we don't do everything that we want to do, then we're real quick to beat ourselves up for it. But having an all or nothing attitude and expecting perfection from yourself will kill your progress. Your motivation thrives when you stop beating yourself up and you start giving yourself a little grace. Remember that building habits is hard. Establishing a routine is hard. Trying to find the balance between everything that comes up in our crazy, chaotic lives is really difficult. And it is a work in progress. And you're never going to be perfect. And it's going to take time to build those new habits. So give yourself some grace as you try to accomplish all those tasks that you set up for yourself every day. And recognize that every single one of those that you do accomplish, even if you don't accomplish all of them, is progress. It's better than you were yesterday. All right, just a few more to get through. Number 11 is to use the 10-minute rule. Just commit to 10 minutes of anything. That's it. No matter what goal you're working on. If you're trying to declutter your house, commit to 10 minutes. If you're trying to implement more cardiovascular activity, commit to walking 10 minutes or getting on your elliptical for 10 minutes. And if at the end of those 10 minutes, you decide you don't want to do it anymore, then that's okay. But if I'm being honest, every time I get myself up to get on my elliptical and I get changed and I get into my workout room and I commit to 10 minutes, I don't want to say that I don't ever stop at 10 minutes, but if I'm feeling good enough to motivate myself to get onto the elliptical, if I can get that far, then once I get through 10 minutes, I usually get through my whole workout because you're already on there. And I also find that once I get myself moving, it actually feels pretty good to be on there. And I even start to enjoy it. And the next one, make sure you start small. Again, I kind of mentioned that in one of the earlier ones, but every little action will eventually compile and it'll lead to big changes in your life. Start with the easiest, lowest effort thing, especially if it's a brand new habit, something that you're not used to doing. And then you build from there. Progress is progress, no matter how fast you make it. I know that this past winter, after my knee surgery, when I finally could get back on my elliptical, I started out at 5 minutes. And I didn't think there was ever going to be a point in my life where I couldn't get through 5 minutes on my elliptical. But it was a little bit humbling when I realized how difficult it was for me to get through just 5 minutes. But I did it. I did 5 minutes. And then every day I got on there, I added one more minute, until eventually I was up to my regular time on the elliptical. And it took time to build up to that. But I never, ever would have been able to get there if I hadn't started small. And especially when you're talking about physical workouts and your body's not used to a lot of physical effort. If you go too quickly and do too much too fast, then that's also the time when you're going to be likely to injure yourself. So to make sure that you take the time to build that up slowly. You will gain quickly if you're starting a new workout routine. You will gain time quickly, you will build strength and endurance quickly, but it's really important to build that foundation, that base. And there's that word again, foundation. So important to build a strong foundation. All right, number 13, reframe your challenges. So we all come up against obstacles in our life. It is absolutely going to happen. But to look at those obstacles and actually reframe those, instead of seeing them as potential failures, you can look at them as lessons. The challenging times in your life really, truly do provide an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to adapt. And I think it's the toughest times in my life that I've actually made the most progress. Sometimes it kind of lights a fire under me too. When things get tough, I dig my heels in, I get a little bit more determined, and I make more progress. And whatever part of my wellness that I'm thinking about. When things get tough, sometimes I get pissed and I dig my heels in, but I'm always grateful for it afterwards. Because when you feel capable of handling the tough stuff, that's when your motivation will really grow and when you'll really start to see progress and change. So the challenges can really be positive. Once you find the way through them, the way to overcome them, then you will become stronger. All right, track your progress is number 14. I know I mentioned that I used my foundations program earlier. The foundations program is like an 8-week, it's really a habit journal for me. And what I do every week is write down my goals, and then every day I kind of check them off a list as I accomplish them. And then I total them up at the end of the week. And it enables me to see my progress, to track my progress. It gives me a visual. Even if I feel like I'm not doing everything that week that I should be, just flipping back through that book for me is a good feeling. At least I know that I am putting in the effort. So I am also the type of person that just really likes to write things down. But there's lots of things out there. There's apps that keep track of everything these days. I'm just kind of old school, like to write things down. But whatever way that you track your progress, I definitely recommend some type of habit tracker. It's a good feeling to see all the days accumulate because that's a representation of all the effort that you're putting in. And no matter how much actual progress, when you're measuring your progress you've made, just putting in that effort is a big deal. And you should be proud of that. But my habit tracker also gives me the opportunity or the ability, I suppose, to look back at my actions so that I can see what I was doing every week. It monitors all of my progress, but it also monitors all of my goals that I'm measuring. I keep track of every little note in there, like things that are going on in my life, whether I got sick, whether I had a financial crisis and that brought me down. Like if I have, if I'm struggling with my mood, with my positive mindset, if I am meditating, maybe focusing, like all of those different things, they create a good picture of what you're doing every day. So that means that you can start to identify the things that really work for you. I can look back at my last year and I can see the times when I was the most successful, when I made the most progress. I can look at the actions, the things that I was doing every single day. And once you realize that, then it gives you the ability to be able to apply that again in your life. If I can look back and say, oh my gosh, when I was doing this and this and this, I was making a lot of progress. Now I have the ability to do those things again. I know what works for me. And it also gives you the ability to identify the things that don't work. If there's things that you are doing every single day or often, and the goals that you're checking off the list really begin to drop, then you might be able to identify something that's going on in those weeks to see what that trigger is for you. And that not only can you recreate the good things, you can also start to prevent the bad things. Because the ultimate goal, what you want, is consistency and balance. And the more consistent that you can be, you don't want to meet all of your goals one week and then no goals next week, because that's a lot of highs and lows. So my goal is to always establish consistency. No matter what challenge I'm faced with in my life, I want to see consistent goals met so that I can establish a foundation of healthy habits that's going to get me through anything. That's really, truly my ultimate goal with this. No matter what, all of the little goals, whether I want to lose weight or gain strength or improve my nutrition or all of those things, no matter what specific long or short-term goals I've identified, my ultimate goal is to really create a truly balanced, fulfilled, and consistent life with less highs and lows. And to me, some type of habit tracker is really essential in doing that because it's data. It's like, I like to think about foundations as a behavior change experiment where your behavior is the different variables that you're changing in and out. And it gives you data about your behavior. You can analyze, you can see patterns, and it enables you to formulate a plan that will help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. And the last one on my list is to practice gratitude. And gratitude ties into your mindset, right? When you acknowledge the good, even the little things, it becomes easier to stay positive, motivated, and present. Sometimes it can be really difficult to see the positive, but the more that you practice gratitude, the easier it becomes. And your thought patterns are habitual. And if you have difficulty practicing gratitude or seeing the positive or maintaining a positive mindset, then sometimes that might be something that maybe you want to put on your goal list every day to take 5 minutes to practice gratitude. Maybe make a list of things that you're grateful for every single day. And I guarantee that the more you focus your energy on identifying things that you're grateful for, the more it's going to come naturally for you. And instead of automatically going to the negative, you're going to be more apt to go to the positive. Oh, and one little bonus that I want to mention. Try setting your intention or meditation. If you're feeling scattered or unfocused, then a short guided meditation on setting your intention can really help bring clarity and focus to your day. It doesn't have to be fancy, and you don't have to spend a lot of time doing it. Really just a few minutes of quiet with a clear why in mind can work wonders. And just take a minute to set your intention. So that's it. That's my top tips for improving your motivation in a nutshell. Motivation isn't really something that you have or don't have, but it's something that you build. It's a practice. It's about understanding what works for you, forgiving yourself when you fall short, and then trying again the next day. And I know with the holidays coming up, things are going to get even more hectic than normal, and there's going to be more stress than normal. So this time of year can be even more difficult to find your motivation and to stay on track. And I hope that you found something in these 15 tips that can help you in those moments. And if you want more support through your journey, you can subscribe to our podcast. You can go to my website, totaltransformation.life. You can reach out for one-on-one coaching. I put out regular blogs with what I hope is useful information. You can sign up to get the Complete Wellness newsletter. You can find that on the website too, totaltransformation.life. And look in your community. Build your support network. Look for group fitness classes if you feel like you need more support, need more people that are like-minded and that have similar goals. It's natural for your motivation to kind of ebb and flow, but you don't have to do it alone. And if you decide you want more support and want to sign up for one-on-one coaching, then definitely reach out to me. And I'm about to start an 8-week program for foundations, which will take me right up through the end of the year. If you feel like you want to join me, then definitely, again, reach out, or you can go to the website or directly to Amazon, and you can find my Foundations Habit Journal or the First Foundations book. The First Foundations book walks you through the entire program. You could do it completely on your own without reaching out to me, but at the same time, you're also welcome to reach out to me if you do want additional support. So let's talk about what's coming up in the next couple months. Next time, Britt will be rejoining me. We have quite a few topics that you don't want to miss. First, we're definitely going to share some of the feedback that we got from our last podcast. All the messages, questions, concerns. And we know the holidays are right around the corner, which adds a whole nother level to the motivation and the chaos of life and how to stay on track through it all. We're going to dive into all of it. We're also still planning another follow-up to the weight loss and medication episode when we talk to an MD about the topic. I know that one of my questions is about how to come off the medication safely, because to my knowledge, there's not a lot of research out there about it because it's so new. And I've heard it from a few different people. They've successfully lost the weight, but now they're not sure exactly how to come off the medication. So that's definitely a question that I have for our doctor. And I'm hoping he has some useful advice about that. So we'll be back to dive into some of this stuff in the next couple of months. I hope something in this episode meets you right where you are and gives you something to think about, breathe through, or build on. Remember, progress, not perfection. Until next time, stay well, stay kind, and keep showing up for yourself.